والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبي إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيت الله الطيبين الطاهرين صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرج. On behalf of the United Network of Islam, we welcome you all to our 2026 Ashura program here at the Islamic Center of America. As we continue through these blessed nights of Muharram, we reflect on the message of Imam Hussein, a message of truth, justice, sacrifice, and unwavering faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also remember those around the world facing oppression and hardship, particularly our brothers and sisters in Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, and all those suffering from injustice all over the globe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them relief to from the oppressed, to the oppressed, protect the innocent, and strengthen those who remain steadfast in the path of truth. At this time, we remember our marhumin, our loved ones who have passed away, and all the martyrs who sacrificed their lives for justice and dignity. I kindly ask everyone to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, followed by Allah salawat for the marhumin of our community, our families, and the martyrs of the past and present. Ba'da salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our prayers and hasten the appearance of Imam al-Hujjah Ajallah ta'ala al-Farj al-Sharif. Before we begin tonight's program, please help me welcome Brother Ibrahim Ajami to recite a few verses from the Holy Quran. Please help him welcome with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
محمد وآل محمد. ثانية على حب الزهراء صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العلي العظيم الفاتحة مع الصلوات
Thank you, Brother Ibrahim, for that beautiful recitation. If we can give him another loud salawat. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه الشريف. So before we begin tonight's program, just a few announcements. First, please save the date for UNI's second annual retreat taking place from October 29th through November 1st. We look forward to gathering once again for a weekend of faith, learning, reflection, and brotherhood and sisterhood, inshallah. So please sign up for that date. If you have any questions, please reach out to the organizers, me, or anyone on the table outside for more information, inshallah. For the nights of Muharram, we invite you to participate in the nightly sponsorship opportunity. A donation of $150 may be made in the name of a deceased family member or a loved one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy upon all of those marhumin and elevate their ranks among the righteous. If you would like to donate, please see me or one of the volunteers after the program so we can help with that, inshallah. Tonight's sponsor is donated on the behalf of Marhuma Hajj Sara Mushaymish Mushawrib and all the marhumin and Muslimin. If we can please write Surah Al-Fatiha On their behalf, بعد الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Thank you. Please stay connected with the UNI by following our social media pages and joining our WhatsApp group to stay informed about upcoming programs, events, volunteer opportunities, and retreat updates. Inshallah. As we continue our journey through the lessons of Karbala, we are reminded that one of the greatest sources of strength given to a believer is the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through dua. In moments of hardship, uncertainty, oppression, and even gratitude, dua becomes the language of the heart and a powerful means of drawing closer to the Creator. Tonight's topic is dua, our strongest weapon, a timely reminder that while we may not always be in control of our circumstances, we can always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who hears every prayer and answers in the best way at the best time. To help us reflect on this important topic and draw inspiration from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, we are honored to be joined once again by our respected speaker, Sheikh Amin Ristani. Please help me welcome Sheikh Amin to the Mambar with Allah 3 salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. So, on our previous nights, we talked a little bit about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, in this life, He is going to make sure that we understand that it's all Him, nothing but Him, everything else is under Him. He will push us towards real tawheed. Real tawheed not meaning that I believe God is one. Everyone already knows that. But this has its own practical implications. When you really understand what it means that Allah is one and there is no other like Him, with that comes baggage. But sometimes we are neglectful of that baggage that it comes with. That baggage, if Allah really is the one, and not one that means 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, no. One in the sense that you cannot have a second or third of, then with that comes baggage like how He's going to be the one in charge of everything. Yeah? How He has power over all things. The Quran, for example, will say that on the Day of Judgment they come, they will see, the people will see, أَنَّ الْقُوَّةَ لِلَّهِ, that all power, sovereignty belongs to Allah. Okay? We have a verse in the Quran that talks about Yawm al-Qiyamah, that on that day we will see that all power belongs to Allah. Question: does that mean that all power didn't belong to Allah before, and now that it's Yawm al-Qiyamah, all power belongs to Him? In other words, Allah was limited in His power before this, but now Yawm al-Qiyamah, He's the boss. Or the verse that says لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ, on the Day of Judgment, the Quran says, Allah says this, says, to whom does all sovereignty belong to? لِمَنِ الْمُلْك. Al-Mulk lamin. لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ. It all belongs to Allah. Question: does that mean before it didn't belong to Allah? Is that what the verse is saying? Is Allah changing on the Day of Judgment? No, obviously not. What's changing is our perspective is changing. We are coming to the realization that it was all Him and nothing but Him. But it was just so veiled from us in this life. It's not our fault, obviously. We grow up, we're living in a world of cause and effect, and we see that, yes, things fall to the ground because of gravitational pull. There's nothing wrong with that. We are accustomed to the conventional causality, conventional cause and effect that governs this natural world of ours. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Quran teaches us that there's more to it that meets the eye. Yeah? Yes, flipping the switch turns on the light. Yes, that's true. But when you look at it from a horizontal perspective, when you look at things in the same horizon that you are in, the same level of existence that you are in, but the Quran tells us and reveals to us that in addition to the cause and effect that you are aware of in this life, you flip the switch, the light turned on. Cause, flipping switch, effect, light turns on. Cause, letting something go, gravity pulling, effect, falling down of that object. Quran discloses to us that although that might be the case in your eyes, that this is the entire cause of that thing happening, the Quran tells us that there's also a hierarchy at play. Okay? There's a hierarchy that goes vertically up to all the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that Allah is the one who actually made that thing fall. The Quran says, for example, it talks about the birds in the sky. Okay? The Quran says that these birds in the sky, do you know why they don't fall out of the sky? Answer, obviously, they're flapping their wings so strongly, they're generating a force that counters gravitational pull to the extent that they don't fall. Right? That's why birds don't fall out of the sky, right? And that's true from this perspective, when you look at it horizontally. But if you were to look at it vertically, yeah, the Quran says, إِن يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنِ. Guess what? Allah is the one who doesn't let them fall. Wait a minute, I thought it's them flapping with their wings that doesn't let them fall. It's that. True. But in addition to that, understand there's also other stuff going on, although we are usually oblivious to it and it's fine. But this is what we refer to as Tawheed Af'ali, that it's not just God is one in essence. God is the real one behind everything happening, although He won't do it randomly, although there is a causality in this real world, natural world of ours, but at the same time He's at the top of the chain of causality as well. Okay. Having said all of that, He will bring us to this realization one way or another in this life, to the point that even if we don't come to it in Qiyamah, we come to this realization, أَنَّ الْقُوَّةَ لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا, that it all belongs to Him. That لِمَنِ الْمُلْكِ الْيَوْمِ لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ, it all belongs to Him on that day. On that day, meaning we realize on that day, otherwise it always belonged to Him. Now, in this life, Allah will shake us up sometimes so that we are made aware of this idea. Yeah? And so sometimes you will find yourself, when it comes to Islam, when it comes to the future of Islam, you and I will slowly tie the existence and survival of Islam to a certain individual. Even if that individual is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, still we sometimes will tie it to that individual to the point that practically, not theoretically speaking, but practically, yeah, it's as if this person has taken the place of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Na'udhu billah. That if this person is not around, Islam won't be around. Who said? If you take Allah out of the equation, then that's a possibility. If you don't take Allah out of the equation, that's not a possibility. But so and so, we lost so and so, we lost so and so, we lost so and so. Doesn't matter. Allah is still there. And we talked about this yesterday. That yes, Allah wants to break this idolization that we've done, even if the person that we're idolizing is a very good person. That person is good. The way I look at that person, though, is problematic. In addition to that, these good people, the way I look at them, Allah messes that up a little bit so that we can grow and see that even if that person is not around, Islam is still surviving. So that shows someone else is behind the survival of Islam. This happened during the Prophet's time, happened during Imam Hussein's time, and all the way till today we're dealing with the same issues. Okay? We lose people who were great individuals, that we thought Islam, our tashayyu' today, yeah, it depends on them and their existence, not necessarily. Of course, we'll be sad when we lose them, but at the end of the day, Allah is still there. So our perspective of the good ones has to change. Our perspective of the bad ones also has to change. We ask ourselves, why does Allah give them such long lives? Why does Allah give them the possibility to do whatever they want to do? That's just how this world is. Allah gives permission to us to do things in this life to actualize the potentialities that we have within us, the good and the evil that's embedded within us, that is the result of our own doing. To bring that out, it comes out. This is what it's for. This life is for that purpose. Just like the womb of the mother. Have you ever asked yourself? No one asked themselves, why is a baby in mommy's tummy for 9 months? Why can't we just get it over with in 9 days? Because baby is going to come out without fingers, without arm, without leg, without anything. Just a piece of meat. You need to give it time in that womb of the mother to develop everything and to actualize all the potential that it has. This dunya that we're in also is a place for us to actualize the evil that we might have put in ourselves, to actualize the good that we might have in ourselves. This is just like the womb of the mother. This world is a rahim, they say, just like the rahim of the mother for the fetus. Okay. So these bad ones that are here also, alright, I'm going to fix my perspective on the good ones. But the bad ones, oh Allah, why do you give them respite? Why do you give them a chance? That's just how this world works, number one. Number two, the Quran says, don't think that we give them a long life or we give them power, that this is something good for them. It's just like a child that you give matches to. The more matches you give to that child, the more dangerous that child is for themselves. It's not a good thing. This person has to have the opportunity to be as evil as they want. But finally, we ended on this note that even though Allah does give respite, understand that it ends at the end of this dunya and your time in this life. The sorcerers of Musa, they you know, it's crazy because these are people who were idol worshippers probably. Yeah? These are people that could care less about anything. And then all of a sudden, because of the decision to put their lives on the line, because they see the truth now and they accept the truth from Musa, because his miracles were not something you could deny, in a split second, it's as if Allah gives them some out of this world ma'rifah. Okay? It's very interesting. The more you do good in this life, the more ma'rifah comes. The only thing is, the good things that you and I do in this life, they're usually normal little good things. And so they will have an effect slowly on us, but it's not something that right away is significant. But a person who says, I don't care if you torture me, O Fir'aun, I'm going to still believe in the God of Musa because this miracle, there's no way around it. This person now is making a decision, not like me, who says, okay, you know what? I'll stay away from this haram steak. All right? That's my problem. That's my struggle. This person's struggle is, I will put my life on the line, even if I get tortured to death. Yeah, I'm going to still be on the right path. This person, Allah rewards them with big rewards. All of a sudden, this person who was all over the place, had nothing to do with God, had no knowledge of God, all of a sudden is saying things like what the Quran relates about the sorcerers of Musa, that they said, "Innama la dayr." There's no problem, Fir'aun. You want to kill us, right? We innama taqdi faqdi ma anta qad innama taqdi hadhihi al-hayat ad-dunya. You can only have control over what happens here. On the other side, we have hope that Allah is going to take care of us. Whoa, you guys are sounding like urafa over, like 5 minutes ago you were nothing. Now all of a sudden you're sounding like this. What gives? What's going on? Yes, when a person makes the right decisions in life, however harder that decision is, however much harder that is, to that extent, Allah rewards this person. Sometimes in this life, but for sure in the afterlife. In this life, it's going to be with these types of ma'arif. Anyway, point being that we have to understand, if those evil ones are given respite, that is going to terminate in this life, and they will not carry it to the next life. If that's the case now, coming into what we want to talk about today, if that's the case, then all right, I guess we just have to sit there We just have to sit there and not do much. Let them do whatever they want to do. Well, of course, activism, resistance, all that stuff is there. Sometimes you don't even have that means. Sometimes you live somewhere where it's irrelevant. Such a thing is it's not even relevant. You can't really do much. We have to understand that there is this weapon called dua and supplication. And I purposely say this, although some of us might roll our eyes, but dua is taken very lightly. Nowadays, as a matter of fact, some will look at you, a person who thinks that dua is a weapon will look at you and be like, yo, that's some weak stuff. Yeah? This is not something that's going to bring about change. No, you have to do something. What if I can't do anything? What if the circumstances don't allow me to do anything? We have to understand the power of dua. What I want to go through today is a bunch of hadiths that we have, so we understand, like these are the words of the Ahlul Bayt we're talking about. These hadiths are going to be from Usul al-Kafi, our main hadith book, yeah, to see how the Imams look at this thing. Alright? It's like 35 pages of hadiths we have in Usul al-Kafi, not forget about other hadith books, just on dua. And now we see it as, oh, this is just something people will say and talk about when they want to, yeah, when they want an easy way out. No. Look at this. Imam Hussein did what he was doing and did what he needed to do on Ashura. Okay? What was his last weapon? His dua. I want to read this to you. His last words. Because you know what holds us back from this dua idea? The fact that we think because it's almost impossible for it to be fulfilled the way we think it should be fulfilled, that there's no point in doing it. The problem is we see dua as something that is not matloob, is not something that is encouraged in and of itself, but rather it is just a means to get to something else. We have to change this perspective. Dua is not something that you do just because you want to reach something. And okay, it might work, it might not work. I might get what I need or what I'm after, I might not get what I need and what I'm after. It's not like that. Dua itself, in and of itself, even if nothing changes in your life, dua in and of itself is something that Allah wants, because there's a change that is happening within you. Remember the tawheed I talked about? When you do dua, what happens is you are telling yourself and dictating to yourself, to your nafs, that Allah is the one in charge. Practically, you are teaching yourself. Otherwise, if you felt that others can help, you would go somewhere else. This itself is a reminder of tawheed to us. Any situation we're stuck in, and even though we know there's no way out of it, still do dua. You know why? Because Imam Hussein laid on the plains of Karbala. In the final moments, he's still doing dua. Imam Hussein, don't you understand? There's no way out of this for you. Right? Allah's not going to help you. You're already bleeding to death. What dua? A person who thinks dua is supposed to only get things fulfilled for us says such a thing. But a person who understands what dua is all about, that in and of itself it's something. Just like salah in and of itself is something, a form of worship, then every problem that comes up, every hardship that a person is going through is going to be seen as an opportunity to do a dua. But you know it's not going to get fulfilled, I don't care. This is the time to do a dua. And when you go through the words of the Ahlul Bayt, you see it. This is their expectation. Alright? What is the dua of Imam Hussein? It's pretty long. I can't read all of it. It starts with Allahumma anta muta'alil makan. Oh Allah, you're so exalted. Think about it. Those final moments, inshallah, in our final moments, we have a little conversation like this with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anta muta'alil makan, azimul jabarut, shadidul mihal, ghaniyun anil khalaiq. You don't need anybody. قادر على ما يشاء. You do what you want. سابغ النعمة. قريب إذا دعيت. Close when you are called, etc., etc. It goes on. So he's first warming up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? and conversing in this way and praising Allah, we're talking about the final moments, man. And eventually it says, he says, Abki ilayka makruban. I weep to you with out of hardship that I'm going through. Wa asta'inu bika da'ifan. I call for your help while I am weak. Atawakkalu alayka kafiyan. I rely on you because that's all I need. Uhkum baynana wa bayna qawmina. Oh Allah, you be the judge between me and my people. That's interesting. He says qawmina, our people. He still feels sorry for these people and associates himself with them. But what happened? فَإِنَّهُمْ غَرُّونَا خَدَعُونَا خَدُونَا. They deceived us, they betrayed us, etc., etc., etc. We are the Prophet's family. And then look at what he asks Allah eventually. فَاجْعَلْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا فَرَجًا. Oh Allah, show us a way out of this. What do you mean? Oh Hussein, you yourself said last night that everyone's going to be killed today. Correct? You know there's no way out. Show me a faraj. Show me a way out. وَمَخْرَجًا بِرَحْمَتِكَ يَا أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Yeah? Oh merciful, oh the most merciful of all merciful people. Show me the way out. Oh Hussein, there is no way out. Why are you doing dua? To be saved. You can't be saved. You know yourself, you have to be killed in these plains. So, what is the point of all this? Or, for example, when we do dua, Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. Oh Allah, be for Imam Mahdi waliyan, wa hafidhan, wa qa'idan, wa nasiran. Right? A helper. Help him, lead him, protect him, and so on. When we do dua for Imam Mahdi, you tell me, do you think Allah's not going to be protecting him anyway? Do you think Allah's not going to be showing him the way anyway? What's the point of doing dua then? A person who says, okay, that which we are doing dua for is going to be happening anyway, so why should I do dua? This shows that this person sees dua as not as something in and of itself that's something powerful, but rather just a means and tool to get to something. Well, or we already have that thing, so why even do dua for it? It just shows that we've misunderstood it. So, and then, as a result of that, all the doubts start creeping in. When I ask for that new white iPhone and I don't get it, then I'm like, wait a minute, does this dua thing even make sense? Is it even true? Why does Allah say, I'm going to answer you no matter what if you call unto me? Yeah? It shows that this person looks at it only as a tool. No. When the going gets tough, brothers and sisters, when the evil ones are doing their thing, it is time to do a lot of dua. A lot of dua. That's the weapon that we have. Yeah? As I said, some might say, oh, you're being so passive about things and so complacent by just thinking that you have to do dua. What else do you want to do? What else do you want to do? You can't do anything else. But this is what you can do at least. This is an opportunity. So I want to read some of these hadiths to you all. Maybe tonight and maybe even tomorrow if I don't finish today. There's a good number of them. There's a lot of nice little details that we have in these ahadith. So recite a salawat, please. It says here, this is in Usul al-Kafi, Kitab al-Du'a, the chapter on dua. And then it has a lot of sub-chapters. The first one is just talking about fadl al-du'a, how great dua is, and how they encouraged us to do dua, okay? It says here that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says to someone by the name of Muyassir, he says, Ya Muyassir, ud'u wa la taqul inna al-amra qad furiga minh. Do dua. Don't say, oh, the affair has already been decided on. In other words, don't be the guy who sees the dua as a means, not a ends. Huh? Because if you feel that the matter has already been decided on, then of course you're not going to do dua anymore if you see it as a means to something. That something is already there. Why should I even do dua? He says, don't say that, oh, Allah has already decided on the affair, so why even do dua to begin with? I already know what's going to happen anyway. Or at least I know Allah already knows what's going to happen anyway. Why do dua? إِنَّ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مَنْزِلَةً لَا تُنَالُ إِلَّا بِمَسْأَلَةٍ. There are some things that Allah has, okay, that can only be unlocked through dua, he says to him. That's it. There's no other way. In other words, like we live in this world of causality, yes, but there's some things that no matter how hard you try will not be unlocked unless you do dua for it. Allah wants you to ask for it. We don't know what those are. And so when we don't know what they are, might as well do dua for everything, so that we make sure we hit the target. وَلَوْ أَنَّ عَبْدًا سَدَّ فَاهُ وَلَمْ يَسْأَلْ لَمْ يُعْطَ شَيْئًا. If some people out there, if they keep their mouths shut and they don't do dua, they'll never get anything, the Imam says. Right? Don't think that, yeah, if it's supposed to come to me, Allah has decided it's going to come. If it's my nasib, then so be it. If not my nasib, what are you talking about? Mold your own fate. Imam Hussein does du'as in the last moments. Oh, it's over. Who knows? But I'm not even after that. I just know that this is what I want in this moment. I'm going to ask Allah for it. But the matter has already been decided. Who cares? That's beyond the point. يا ميسر إنه ليس من باب يقرأ إلا يوشك أن يفتح لصاحبه. If you keep knocking on a door, it's going to eventually open up. The Imam says this in this hadith. Next hadith. I'm going to try to cover as many as I can because I'm just saying that in the words of Ahlul Bayt there is nur. Hopefully we can capture some of that nur. من لم يسأل الله عز وجل من فضله فقد افتقر. A person who doesn't ask Allah for things, this person is going to be poor. Okay? Obviously, to be poor and broke, it takes more than just not asking Allah. It also takes not working hard and all of that. Obviously, we have to take care of that part. But you add that to your resume. Hey, dude, what was that meme? What do you do for a living? Or how did you afford this Lambo? His answer should be, yeah, I'm a day trader and I do dua. Together. Yeah? And some even add to that taqwa, because we have verses of Quran for this. That if you have taqwa, Allah will provide min haythu la yahtasib, from a means that you weren't even aware of, you couldn't even think of it. It'll come to you from places that you didn't even think. That should be in our resume. So, sir, what are your qualifications? Taqwa, dua. Oh yeah, and I have experience here and there and that kind of stuff. Obviously, you don't say this, but that should be in the back of some of our minds. عليكم بالدعاء فإنكم لا تقربون بمثله. Oh, are you telling me that dua in and of itself is like a worship? Yes, a form of worship. It says, make sure, don't sleep on dua. Take it serious. Take it serious. Why? فإنكم لا تقربون إلا بمثله. There's nothing that gets you closer to Allah, yeah, like this can. You know what it goes back to, I think? It seems safe to say that it goes back to the fact that when you're doing dua, just like remember I talked about tears and shedding tears, it means that there's an actual connection there. That's why tears start flowing when we remember Imam Hussein. When I really have a need, and I really feel like I need to tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a connection is made there. So what is the whole point of worship? The whole point of worship is to get connected to Allah. When you have a need and you feel like Allah is the one who can fulfill it, the connection is a deep one when you do dua. And so here the Imam says it's a form of worship that nothing else can take its place. Think about it. وَلَا تَتْرُكُوا صَغِيرَةً لِصِغَارِهَا and tad'u biha. Yeah? Just because something, this is important, which shows us once again, it's not the fact that it's a means, it's an end. It says, don't put aside dua for something just because it's small. In other words, you know it's going to happen anyway. Right? And then because of that, you're like, you know, whatever, I'm not going to do it. We have hadith that says, like, even for the salt on your table, do dua for that. Ask Allah for it. This is it's cultivating within us this idea of, once again, tawheed, that everything goes back to Him. Now, it's small though. We're supposed to ask Allah for bigger things. Yeah? That's what we'll say. The problem is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's all the same. فَإِنَّ صَاحِبَ الصِّغَارِ هُوَ صَاحِبُ الْكِبَارِ. The hadith ends like this. It says it's because the one who owns all the small little things is the same one that owns the big ones. If you want small ones, don't think you're getting it from somewhere else. And the big ones come from Allah. No, everything comes from Him. You see, the perspective is off. I think that small things, is something that I can also achieve. The big ones is what Allah has to do. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Him, I want you to think about this line. In theology, this is what you'll hear. For Allah, it is no different to create an ant or create a mountain. Think about it. It shows that this idea of size, hardship, it's N-A, not applicable when it comes to Him. They are breaking this idea that we have in our minds that, the bigger, the more work, we need Allah's help here. No. The smaller one also, you can. And that's why the Quran talks about how Allah gives the example of a gnat, a mosquito. And talks about that. How no matter how small, it's nothing special, but let me see you do. If that gnat goes in your nose and goes into your brain and kills you, like Namrud, you can't do anything about it. Can you create a gnat, no matter how, although it's so super small and insignificant? No one can create an actual gnat, a mosquito. Allah uses these little comparisons either. That mosquito, the small thing that you could care less about, doesn't matter. It's no different than the mountain. So no, this person, because of their wrong understanding on perspective of Allah, what do they say? The big ones will ask Allah, the small ones. This shows that there's a problem in the perspective. To think that because it's small, I don't need to call unto Allah for it. Now, I'm not saying it's haram, that if you don't, but if those are the ones who want to go to another level, those of us who in this day and age we're living, and we feel like our hands are tied and we can't do anything about all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world, at least like when you have a tool like this, why not make the most of it? الدعاء هو العبادة التي قال الله عز وجل إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي. The Quran talks about some people who they're too arrogant to worship Allah. Okay? There's a verse that talks about that. It says the ones in الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي, the ones who arrogantly turn away from doing my ibadah and worship. The hadith says the ibadah that verse is talking about is dua. So a person who doesn't do dua, whether they like it or not, there might be traces of ego in them. Right? Once again, this is not haram, but it just shows that we still have work to do. A person who doesn't make the most of this opportunity of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تقل إن الأمر قد فرغ منه. Same wording is used here as well. That don't say that, things have been decided on already. No, don't say that. Another one, إنما يعني لا يمنعك إيمانك بالقضاء والقدر أن تبالغ بالدعاء وتجتهد به. When it says, don't say that the affair has already been decided on, what is meant, here it's saying this. What is meant is, don't think that, we have this idea of divine decree, okay, that Allah decides on things, and once Allah decides on it, you can't change it anymore. No. Part of that which Allah, that package that Allah looks at when a decision is being made is whether you did dua or not. Understand that? So it's not going to always bring about the desired result that I'm after, but it is definitely necessary to be in that package. This next one, Allah, and these are the ones that now they take it to another level here. They talk about how it's a weapon. ألا أدلكم على سلاح ينجيكم من أعدائكم. Do you want me to teach you a weapon that you can use that will make you victorious over your enemies? ويدر أرزاقكم, and will bring abundance to your rizq and sustenance. قالوا بلى, of course. Tell us. قال تدعون ربكم بالليل والنهار. You call your Lord day and night. You see, this frequency is also something that's there. And we'll get to this maybe tomorrow. Where some of us would be like, you know what? Like, you know, the ones who are like cousins with God and they're cool with God, you know? They're like, yeah, I asked once, and if Allah wants, He will give, and if Allah doesn't want, He won't give. No. We have this in our literature. Keep asking. What if it's not good for me? Well, if it's not good for you, if you ask once even, yeah, or you ask 10 times, He won't give it to you if it's not good for you. Why do you think if you ask 10 times, He might give it to you although it's bad for you? Have you thought of that? Sometimes they say, don't insist in your dua. Yeah, sometimes you say, oh Allah, give this to me no matter what, even if it's bad for me. Okay, that's a problem. You got problems. Okay? But no, sometimes you really come to the conclusion something is good for you. It says, do ilhah. Ask Allah again and again. But what if it's bad for me and He still gives it to me? Well, then that's not a very caring God, man. If it's bad for me, 10 times asking with 1 time asking shouldn't be any different. He still shouldn't give it. But we'll get to those hadiths later. But here what's important is this, silahul mu'min. تَدْعُونَ رَبَّكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ فَإِنَّ سِلَاحَ الْمُؤْمِنِ الدُّعَاء. For verily, this is the silah. This is the weapon of the mu'min. And then here we are downplaying it, thinking that this is not going to do anything. Things are in our hands, and you know how much noise I can make and how much I can stand up, which is good. I mean, but add this to the regimen. Don't sleep on this one. Ad-du'a tursul mu'min. Here it says, dua is the shield, the protection of a mu'min. وَمَتَى تُكْثِرُ قَرْعَ الْبَابِ يُفْتَحْ لَكَ. When you knock on a door long enough, it will open upon you. عَلَيْكُمْ بِسِلَاحِ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. Take serious the weapon of the prophets. What's that? فَقِيلْ وَمَا سِلَاحُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. What is that? قَالَ الدُّعَاء. So we are going now from dua being something that, you know, happens maybe like on Christmas, that kind of thing, where we wish for something and God will give it to me if I've been a good person. It goes from that to what? All of a sudden it is a shield. It is a weapon. It is a ends, not a means. It's a form of ibadah. It's so important that I should not distinguish between small things and big things when it comes to it. Let me fix my perspective that even the small things, I need Allah for them. Then it goes on. Another sub-chapter here talks about how dua repels hardship and bala, and also changes the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interesting. I'll read a few here and then I'll wrap up. It says, إِنَّ الدُّعَاء يَرُدُّ الْقَضَاء يَنْقُضُهُ كَمَا يُنْقَضُ السِّلْكُ وَقَدْ أُبْرِمَ إِبْرَامًا. That you have Allah's divine decree, something was supposed to happen in a certain way. Yes, Allah had decided on it. But we have to understand that Allah's decision on that was a conditional one. This is supposed to happen to this individual لَوْلَا الدُّعَاء, if this person doesn't do dua. So now I'm moving in that direction. Something is going to actually happen. But guess what happens? Alhamdulillah, I do dua. All of a sudden, that divine decree transforms into another one. As a result of what? Dua. This idea of, oh, it's nasib, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is like stuff that Muawiyah would pull off, bro. Like, he would come to the people, say, why are you resisting me? Allah has chosen me for you guys. Like, if you try to overthrow me or do something about me, in reality, you're going against God's decree. Habibi, like, relax, man. Even with the normal stuff, forget about being king. The normal stuff, it says that Allah's decree can change. And who are you? Yeah? Even with the small stuff, it says, my decree can change. But you have to do something about it. The same way, it undoes the decree of God, which that's kind of actually crazy when you think about it. Allah's decree is undone. It says the same way yarn, when you spin yarn and it becomes tight like a actual string, and you can use it for things, and then you undo it. When you undo yarn that has tightened up and spun up, yeah? When you undo it and unravel it, right? It says just like that, Allah's decree is unwound. Wow. This doesn't mean Allah is like not strong enough and all of that. No, it shows that Allah's will towards certain things is conditional. It was moving in this direction until something diverted it, which is the dua. Okay, and so these are things that we need to implement in our lives. The first hadith, I think it said that there are some things that can only be unlocked through dua. So we pray and do dua, inshallah, that these sayings and teachings, we understand that these are part of our responsibility towards everyone out there that is suffering. All right, if I can do more, I will do more. But this is the minimum, at least. It's not that I'm going to just be indifferent. There's a lot of barakat and blessings that come to a person as a result of these du'as and caring for others and doing du'a for their victory. Yeah? Inshallah, I'll continue this discussion tomorrow. There's some other very important points in regards to this du'a matter. But as I end, I'm just going to repeat what I said about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein did du'a in the final moments for something that we all know wasn't going to happen. Think about that, brothers and sisters. When you do dua for something that you know it might not happen, you're at least acknowledging that, oh Allah, you are so great that if you want, it can be different, although it's probably not going to be different. That itself, in your final moments, is a beautiful way to leave this dunya. We ask Allah to give us a little drop of that, inshallah, ma'rifah to us all. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin salawat.
محمد وآل محمد. ثانية على حب الزهراء صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. ثالثة لتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. One more salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm going to remind her every night that we enter into these majalis that we do a little bit of istighfar before we jump into these majalis, inshallah, so that it allows a doorway for tears to flow a little bit more. These special tears that I'm sure Sheikh has been mentioning the last few nights, that we use them as an opportunity to grow and to benefit and to change ourselves for the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, the cause of Islam and the cause of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman through these majalis of the Ahlul Bayt. This is one of the most important takeaways that we can have. Understanding and ma'rifah and allowing those tears, those benefits, so many benefits from those tears to allow us to grow as individuals spiritually with our understanding and understanding of what's happening in the world in Islam and the way it's supposed to be understood. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة وموضع الرسالة ومختلف الملائكة صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, our beloved holy prophet, and the Ahlul Bayt. It was in your homes that Allah blessed us with guidance and revelation. And upon you descend the angels day in and day out. Everybody together. Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya حسين يا حبيبي يا حسين نور عيني يا حسين our beloved Hussein light of our eyes حسين يا رحمة الله الواسعة حسين Oh, vast mercy of Allah, Hussein. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, our beloved Imam, our beloved oppressed Imam, the Imam who was slaughtered by the shores of the Euphrates, while his mouth was dry of thirst. Let us dedicate the majlis in this gathering to the mother who spared her 4 children ransom for Abu Abdullah, ransom for the Imam of her time. Who is this woman? Tonight we learn how a true and faithful woman grants everything that she has, the most dear things to her in her life, for the Imam of her time, for Abu Abdullah, so that we grant all that we have, inshallah, for the awaited Hussein of our time, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Ashura is sacrifice, sacrificing everything that's most dear for us, for Allah and the Imam of the time. Sacrificing our habits and the things of this temporal world that don't fit into the laws of Allah. This is the time to reflect, brothers and sisters. This is the time to learn from al-Baneen and apply it to ourselves. Listen to these blessed words of poetry regarding al-Baneen. All of my sons, for Ali's sons, I tell my Lord whenever to him I pray, I am the mother who gave her sons away. Say it with me, brothers and sisters. I am the mother who gave her sons away. I am a mother who has a pride, and what a pride. I'm the lioness who gave away all of her pride. In the love of Muhammad daily I'd abide. I gave everything and in my Lord I relied. I had a voice like that Ali's battle cry cried. With my 4 children's lives Yazid's rule I defied. I shook his throne with every son. It is the pride that lives with me every day. I am the mother who gave her sons away. I am the mother who gave her sons away. I tell my Lord, you've given me such an honor. I sacrifice so Hussein can live forever. And I make a promise to you, O Creator. If any serve Hussein, their names I'll remember. If they ask me for a wish, then I shall answer. To every lover of Hussein, I'm a mother. If they love him, they're my children. I will rescue them if in their grief they sway. I am the mother who gave her sons away. I am the mother who gave her sons away. There was a time in Karbala, there was a time after Karbala, when a man named Bishr ibn Hathlam called out in the city of Medina and told the people about the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah. All the women began to cry. It is said they began to hit their faces in awe and began crying very loudly. The whole city was loud all at once after hearing of the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah. A narrator said among the women who emerged upon hearing the announcement was al-Baneen, the wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali alayhi salam. She was holding al-Abbas's son at the time. It is said that Bishr said that he saw a woman holding a child and making her way towards me. As she walked in between the mourning women, al-Baneen walked closer to Bishr and asked him about Imam al-Hussein. Bishr then replied, I have news about Imam al-Hussein. However, first you must tell me who you are to ask me about this Imam. al-Baneen said, Ya Bishr, I am al-Baneen. I am the mother of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It is said that Bishr was then afraid to inform her of her children's martyrdom all at once. Bishr began saying, Ya al-Baneen, عظم الله لك الأجر. May Allah reward you you for the death of your son Ja'far. al-Banin then said, Ya Ibn Hathlam, did you hear me ask you about Ja'far? I asked you about Imam al-Hussein. al-Banin then said, tell me about Hussein. Bishr then replied, may Allah reward you for the death of your son Uthman. She then said, Bishr, tell me about Hussein. He continued saying, may Allah reward you for the death of your son Abdullah. She repeated her request again. Bishr then said, Ya al-Banin, may Allah reward you for the death of your son Abbas. When she heard Abbas's name, she placed her hand on her heart and said, Bishr, you have informed me of the death of my 4 sons, and I know that my sons would sacrifice their lives for Aba Abdullah. Tell me about Hussein. At this point, Bishr said, may Allah reward you for the death of your son Hussein, for he was left beheaded on the plains of Karbala. al-Banin then shouted, Wa Husayna, wa walada. The story tells that after Karbala, Sayyidah Zainab told her helper to stay at the door of their home so that no other than the woman who has lost one of her beloved ones in Karbala can enter. The door suddenly knocks. The helper asks, who's at the door? The woman answered, tell Sayyidah Zainab that I'm her partner in mourning. The woman answered, telling her to let her in. As the helper informed Sayyidah Zainab, Zainab told her to ask for the woman's name. The woman replied, tell Sayyidah Zainab that I am al-Banin. Then the helper opened the door for her and let her in. Sayyidah Zainab hugged al-Banin and cried out, Wa akha wa Abbasa. al-Banin then continued saying, Wa walada wa Husayna. And the conversation went on between Sayyidah Zainab and al-Banin. al-Banin began asking her, Zainab, why have you returned alone from Karbala? Zainab, why are you walking unsteady, Zainab? Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. What would Sayyidah Zainab tell al-Banin about her walking like this? What should she tell her in that moment? Should she tell her about the beating that the women and the children constantly got after being taken captive? Should she tell her about the humiliation through the streets and being exposed to the strangers? Should she tell her about the hundreds of miles of travel as a stranger? What should she tell you, Ya al-Banin? What would al-Banin say to Sayyidah Zainab? Listen to this poetry. Zainab, I am the mother of your guard and your protection. It is said that your back is bent and your tears are falling. Zainab, why is your cheek blue? Ya Zainab, the nights were hard on you. Ya Zainab, the nights were hard on you. Ya Zainab, the nights were hard on you. Everyone together. Wa Husayna, wa Husayna, wa Shahida, wa Ghariba, wa Madluma. Everybody together from your heart addressing Abu Abdullah. Ya Husayna, salamun min qulubin anta fiha. يا حسين سلام من قلوب أنت فيها يا حسين لك الأرواح طرا نفتديها يا حسين peace be upon you from all the hearts you are in يا حسين peace be upon you from all the hearts that you are in إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. To Allah we are from, and to Him is our return, and soon the oppressors will know what change their affairs will take, and the end times will be for the righteous. Everybody together ask Allah. Ya Allah, in the name of Hussein, by the right of Hussein, by the thirst of Hussein, we ask you to forgive our sins. We ask you to allow us to shed tears and make a change through these majalis. We ask you to give us a good end on the path of truth. We ask you to fill our hearts with the love of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. We ask you to cure our sick ones and forgive our deceased, Ya Allah. We ask you to bring victory and relief to the oppressed around the world, specifically those in Lebanon and Palestine and everywhere around there, Ya Allah. We ask you to hasten the return of our Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman and to make us amongst his loyal supporters, Ya Allah. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم اكشف السوء بظهور الحجة يا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أبي الفضل العباس وعلى الحوراء زينب وعلى محمد وآله الطاهرين ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. We gift everything that was recited and all the words in the majlis on behalf of all the mu'mineen, the mu'minat, and the deceased and the oppressed around the world for their relief and their victory, and for the destruction of the enemies around the world, and for the hastening of Sahib al-Asr